Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley Deadweiler Jones, and I'm here with HBCU highlights, highlighting one of my favorite Morehouse brothers, Ramon Griffin. Ramon, thank you so much for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Ashley. I thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Now, Ramon, I understand that you're an intervention specialist at Thurgood Marshall Academy in DC. Tell us about that.
Oh, that is correct. This year, I had the opportunity of going back into education as an intervention specialist, also intervention teacher, you may call it. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm working with ninth and 10th grade students who are at risk of failing. And I was working with them more one-on-one as well as in small groups to help them improve their grades. But I was also working with them to improve their organizational skills, working with them as a mentor and things of that sort, because we know many of our youth nowadays are a little, I hate to say a little scatterbrained. They don't know exactly what direction they're going in ninth grade. So I'm kind of helping them get on that track to get organized and get focused in education and get done what they need to do so they can graduate on time.
Yeah, that ninth grade year is foundational, right?
It's definitely a foundational year. It's a make or break year for some.
It is. And, when we get to 12th grade or maybe even 11th grade, we're trying to determine where we're going to college. So talk to us about your journey to Morehouse. Where are you from? How did you even come about, thinking of Morehouse? Was it kind of like a legacy situation? What's your story?
That's a great question. Well, as a native of Detroit, Michigan, I could not wait to get out of my hometown. So I put together a plan my 7th grade year of middle school to make sure I got to college. So with that said, it was always my intent to go to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. I bled maize and blue. I bled maize and blue. And then someone mentioned Morehouse to me. And I said, okay, but it's an all male college, so I don't think I'm gonna go there. But then I matriculated into high school. And, in high school, those formative years, as we just spoke with 9th grade, a lot kicked in because unfortunately I didn't have my father in my life growing up. Believe it or not, I found him on Facebook 10 years ago this past week. So with that said, I wanted to make sure that I was around a lot of positive Black males. Coming up on the east side of Detroit, I had my grandfather, I had uncles, things of that sort, but the surrounding community wasn't a community I saw myself in long term. I saw myself venturing out and then wanting to come back to assist those in my community. So with that said, Michigan kind of went on the back burner when one of my aunts introduced Morehouse to me. And then it was at my alma mater, Cass Technical High School in Detroit, where I met Mr. William McGill, an Omega who graduated Morehouse in the early 1900s. So he took me to Morehouse, homecoming 1993. I went to coronation, and that was it. That was it. And it's been Morehouse ever since. And so with that said, it was my journey again of coming up to Detroit, not having those influences that I would like to have seen, but knowing the man I wanted to be. And I knew constantly, they always talked about, well, the Black man ain't this and the Black man ain't that. And I was like, well, that's not true. And I know that's not me, but I know that I need to be around more of those individuals who are like-minded like me. And after, again, visiting Morehouse and reading up more on Morehouse and becoming part of that Morehouse family prior to entering, I said, there's no other place for me. There's no other place for me. And it was by far the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Awesome. That's amazing. And that's a story we continue to hear over and over. No one regrets their decision.
Oh, by no means, by no means.
So when you decided to go to Morehouse, you're there. Talk to us about that journey while you're there through Morehouse, the relationships that you were able to forge, maybe some of the mentors that came into your life, because I know you said that Black male influence, positive Black male influence, was something that you were yearning for. Did you find that at Morehouse, within the classroom, among your peers, and what did that look like for you?
I found it in so many different ways at Morehouse. I have to be completely honest. Like I said, I set my plan in 7th grade to go to college. And I always knew college, it was partying, it was social life. So after freshman orientation week, when it was like, oh, classes start next week, I said, oh, wow, I forgot about that part. But again, with that said, we're at a mecca of schools. So you're surrounded by individuals that hold you to a certain level. And also, at Morehouse, it's the fellowship, it's the brotherhood. We are initiated in, and we were initiated in with love. We were sent off with love. But while we were there, we were nurtured with love by the staff and by your brothers. So it was a pleasant experience. Whereas within the first week, I take that back. The first day, I'm not sure it's Spelman, but we said in King's Chapel, and they said, look to your left, look to your right. One of these brothers won't be here when you left. Terry White was on my right and he graduated. Ralph Cooper was on my left and he graduated. And to this day, we are still friends. So I say that to say that I formed brotherhoods from day one. Not only are we still friends, but I was in Ralph's wedding. And Ralph is one of many of my Morehouse brothers whose weddings I was in. Ralph is one of many of my brothers whose children call me Uncle Ramon. So with that said, formed lasting bonds with my boys who I call my brothers, as if they were blood. As you may know, I have a business partner where we've reinvested in my hometown, Detroit. We're one-on-one with our company, but we have a separate company where we have more of our Morehouse brothers where we've reinvested in Detroit. So again, now we brought the business aspect in because our motto is, if one of us come up, we all come up. So we knew that that was an opportunity where we're able to bring everybody in so we could all profit up off of it. In addition to that, though, Morehouse also offered me a lot of opportunities, and just the lineage and being a part of Morehouse family. I'll never forget. I went home summer after junior year, and I was looking for an internship. And I recall being a psychology major, being in a psychology building, and there used to be flyers posted that just said Black Psychologists Association. So I went home. And I'm dating myself here, but I pulled out the yellow pages. And in it, there was one entry for Black psychologists. Don't you know that Black psychologist I spoke to went to Morehouse College? Don't you know he was the department chair for the current department chair. Dr. Braithwaite was his student. So that legacy right there, and just the respect he gave me. And then when I came back and talked to Dr. Braithwaite and explained to him who I had met, I just realized that I was a part of a family that's like no other. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to become a part of AmeriCorps, where I volunteered at Spelman College at the preschool and the kindergarten. I was able to do research with my my advisor, Dr. Madge Willis, where we went into the community. I worked at Thomasville Elementary, where we did research on African-centered classrooms, but more so just the presence. The kids they gravitated toward me and toward Spelman sisters who were part of it. And we were just able to make a great influence. But not only that, though, like I said, there were those professors and there were those other staff members that were just there for us because they just knew where we were going. They wanted to make sure that we were protected, and they wanted to make sure that we had everything we needed. And since then, the legacy continues, because now I do that for young men, and now I'm grooming young men to be prepared to go to Morehouse to make sure they have what they need. And it's awesome. I actually had one of my former students who applied to Morehouse and asked me to write him a letter of recommendation, and I missed a day of work or something because I was ill. And I came in, this young man said, "Mr. Griffin, I got into Morehouse." When I tell you I shed a tear that day, because they took me back to when I went over Mr. McGill's house to sit down with him for him to write my letters of recommendation. So it's that circle of life. It's a beautiful thing. But as you know, Ashley, the Morehouse, Spelman College family is like no other. It's a bond that is absolutely beautiful. I bleed maroon and white.
Oh yeah, and you know what? It's beautiful. And I'll just share this personal story. I recall a time I've had to reach out to you, my brother, because there were some things going in the classroom with my little.
I recall. Yes, indeed.
He was only every bit of maybe
like 2011, 2012. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while ago, and you know they were about to put my baby out or whatever, the pre-K, and I was like, "What's going on? Would you mind taking some time?" And you sure did. You went over there and you gave me your opinion, and you said, "There's nothing wrong with that boy.
Ain't nothing wrong with him." He was too advanced for that classroom setting. That's what it was. He gets it from his mama and his daddy.
But I appreciate it, and I see that you pour your heart out, you know, for your Spelman Morehouse family, and you do for those around you. So again, really, really appreciate that, and kudos to you. Now, I don't know what the classrooms were like for you growing up in Detroit, but coming to Morehouse and having brothers in the front of the classroom that were guiding you and mentoring you along, how different was that, you know, from anything you experienced, and how did that shape you?
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, because coming up in Detroit, I went to Catholic school, kindergarten to 8th. So just imagine, my name is Ramon. So it wasn't until high school when I started seeing people look like me, when I started becoming called Ramon, because kindergarten through 8th, I was called Raymond all the time. Because of course, people couldn't pronounce the name for obvious reasons. I say that to say is once I got to high school, I started seeing some faces that looked like me in front of the classroom, males of color. And then, like I said, within the culture, my name was pronounced correctly. And I say that to say because I noticed immediately the great difference from one culture to the next. So as I stated to you prior, it was my intent to go to University of Michigan. But my high school, which was predominantly African-American, and by the time I left, had 4,000 students, that culture said, no, you're going to Morehouse. You are going to Morehouse, because it's going to be a continuation. And so when I had the opportunity to go to Morehouse, it was a more refined setting. And with that said, now I had brothers and sisters in front of me, but I had brothers who I could relate to, who knew what I was going through out here in these streets, who went through, not in the streets, but in society, who had gone through it themselves, maybe during a different era, but we could speak very frankly, you know? And then these brothers were doctors, and you didn't hear that a lot. You know, of course, in high school, I saw a lot of sisters that were doctors, but we didn't have brothers that were doctors. And I recall we had one brother, he was so philosophical and so intelligent. He didn't have a PhD, but everybody called him doctor just off his knowledge. But that was the strength, because that's what we all have rolling through us, the strength and intelligence. Dr. Crawford was his name. And I'll never forget him, because he spoke to us about our place in society. He spoke to us about how we are to respect our sisters. And as you see, 20 some odd years later, these are the things that stuck with me, because I recall all the stuff that he spoke to us in class. And not only that, though, the classes that were allotted to us at Morehouse, and you know, those same male teachers were able to go off the grid to make sure that we understood the curriculum and use terminology and examples that were relatable to us. So it was heaven. Like I said, from day one to the last day, it was heaven. I cried at graduation because I didn't want to leave.
I think most of us did. Well, I guess this question is really going to be hard for you then. Since it was heaven, you had so many wonderful memories. Is there something that really, really sticks out to you about your Morehouse experience that, like, wow, this was game changing for me? This moment, you know, meant the world to me. What was that?
Oh, no, there's so many, but I could think of them immediately. When we were initiated into Morehouse, when they had all of us gather in King Chapel, then we walked up through Morehouse campus. Then we walked over to Clark while we all held each other's back and said, I held my brother's back. Rain can't stop the house. Sleet can't stop the house. Papa was a rolling stone. And then we went on the yard and they got us hyped. And I was like, oh, they're bringing us in. And then May 16th, 1999, they took us into King Chapel. They had us walk that same road. And they had lines of alumni welcoming us to the alumni organization. And then when you hit that right there by Graves Hall, and you just saw all your family members out there, I get teary-eyed now because it was just so beautiful. And just those moments, you brought us in, you took us out the same way. And at the time, like I said, I didn't have many males, so I'm the eldest child, I'm the eldest grandchild. And I come from a family, large part women. We like outnumbered 3-1. But with that said, I had 2 cousins at the time who were 10 years old, and they bust through the processional to come hug me and say, Cousin Ramon, because I was blessed to be the first male in my family to graduate college. So to see the impact I had on them is amazing. It's amazing.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you know what? Inquiring minds probably want to know this now. You put it out there that you met your daddy 10 years ago, almost today, on Facebook. And I actually have a friend, my good friend's husband had a very similar situation. So talk to us about that. That's very interesting.
Most definitely. So, you know, everything in the universe happens for a reason. You throw the intention, the energy out there will come back to you. So ironically, or not ironically, on June 5th, 2009, unfortunately, I lost my grandfather, who was the major male in my life, who taught me so much in life and was the first serious death I had. But, you know, again, the universe works in serious ways. So at that time, I was 2010, I was 34. And I can recall, I had never liked naps, not even in preschool. I said, there's no point of a nap. I'm not sleeping during the day. But on June 4th, 2010, something told me to take a nap. And as I was sleeping, something said, go on Facebook and look. I knew my father's name. I knew where he was from. I just could never find him through Yellow Pages. So something said, go type his name in. So sure enough, I typed his name into Facebook. There were 3 faces 2 of them obviously weren't him. So I typed in the name, and I as they say, DM'd him. So I DM'd him and I dropped some knowledge on him in reference to how he knew my mother. And sure enough, he responded back, "How is your mother doing?" So the next day, which was the 1-year anniversary of my grandfather's death, my father and I spoke on the phone for the first time. We exchanged messages on Facebook on the 4th. We talked on June 5th. And then 2 weeks later, I drove to Cincinnati and was the best man at his wedding on Father's Day.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. And I met the rest of the family, and there was no question. I'm the spitting image of my father, the spitting image. So when my grandmother saw me, all she could do was bust out in tears and hold me. God rest her soul. And then when I met my grandfather, first words out of his mouth was, "There's no denying this one." So, and we've been, as they say, thick as thieves ever since. There's no question asked. I was gone for all those years, but I met all my family. I met extended family, and there's no question. It's just like we've always been together. So life is good, Ashley. That's all I can say. Life is good.
Awesome. That's a beautiful story. God is good, for sure.
Good
to you, my brother.
All the time, sister.
All right. So Morehouse man, but you're also a Kappa, right? So
all day long. Can't start the day I die. All day.
Talk to me about that brotherhood and some of the things that you're doing in the community with your frat brothers.
All right. So unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to become a member of my fraternity while at Morehouse because we weren't on the yard. So it took me some time, but I eventually got those letters and went through the process. And it's funny because as I was going through that process, I was like, darn, this is like when I was at Morehouse. So again, when I say the initiation at Morehouse and how I was treated, and then the fellowship and always having your brother's back, because with Spelman as it is with Morehouse, you went to Morehouse, oh, you my Morehouse brother, I have your back. There's no question because we've already been vetted. And it's the same with Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity as well. So it's been a great opportunity. Right now I'm in the process of training for leadership. My bros are absolutely amazing. It's an absolutely great organization. We're all about the community. We have our Kappa League, which works with the youth. I actually had some frat brothers drop by yesterday, including our pole mark, who's the president, and he happened to have one of our former Kappa Leaguers, who's a cyclist, because they were all on their bikes. He was the Maryland state champion. He's getting ready to go to Morgan State. So just to see how he's matriculated through our program and just the, again, refined young man that he is now and growing up. So that's one thing we do. Of course, we clean up our community. We have something called Adopt the Highway, where we clean up a stretch of the highway out in Bowie. During the holidays, of course, we do the turkey drives for families. We do the toy drives for the children during Christmas. We go to the men's shelter and we give to them, and we provide time with them too for men who are homeless in the PG County area. There's so much that we do. Of course, there's fundraisers, things of that sort. So we're always giving back, but we always make it inclusive. Like when we say Spell House, it's Morehouse and Spelman. So with my fraternity, we have the Silhouettes, who are the wives of the members of my organization. And they have their group that help out the community as well. And then, of course, they assist with the brothers. So we make sure that we are blending with the our sisters as well to make sure that we're giving back to the community. And it's great.
So you're changing lives in the community, you're changing lives in the classroom. If there was something you could say to the 17-year-old Ramon coming into Morehouse to change his life, what would you share with yourself?
If I could say something to the 17-year-old to change your life, I would say, always follow your gut instinct. That's something I've learned in life. When I've doubted myself, my gut instinct is always gone the other way. When I follow my gut instinct, 10 times out of 10, it's always on point. So if I could tell myself to always follow my gut instinct and always believe in yourself no matter what, that is what I would tell him.
Awesome. So, well, Ramon, thank you so much for your time and for shedding light on how wonderful life can be, when you just keep pushing on and doing the right thing and giving back, and how much comes right back at you. Yes, so we appreciate you. And we want to know, there's some folks that are going to continue following you. There's some young brothers and sisters that may want to go into administration. I know you were in administration in the school system before. Now you're actually in the classroom as an intervention specialist. They're going to want to find you. where can we reach out on social media or email to kind of check in on you?
Oh, most definitely. Well, I am on Facebook, Ramon G. Griffin. That's RAMONG, obviously, Griffin, GRIFFIN. I am on, what else am I on? I am on Instagram, Ramon G, that guy, RAMONGTHTGUY. And I am also on, or excuse me, you can email me, Ramon GPT, RAMONG as in George, P as in Paul, T as in Tom, @gmail.com.
That's a good way. That's a good way to catch you. And you are responsive, Ramon. And I can't wait till this whole COVID thing is behind us and hopefully life goes somewhat back to normalcy, because I look forward to getting together with my Morehouse brother and celebrating life a little bit
Most
more.
definitely, sister, as do I.
Thank you so much, Ramon. You take it easy.
You do the same, sister. Tell the family I said hello.
Will do.
All right, take care.